Before someone drains your energy, they first enter your attention. This is the part most people never notice. They imagine spiritual protection as something dramatic, a ritual, a symbol, a prayer whispered in the dark, a circle drawn around the body. But the first gate is much quieter. It opens the moment your mind begins circling around someone else's fear, anger, envy, chaos, or desire. There's an old saying hidden in many traditions under different names: where attention goes, energy flows. The mystics understood this long before modern language gave us words like emotional contagion, nervous system regulation, or psychological boundaries. They knew that the human being is not sealed like a stone. We are more like a flame in the wind. We illuminate, but we also absorb. We warm others, but we can also be disturbed by what moves around us. Have you ever entered a room and immediately felt heavy, even before anyone spoke? Have you ever spoken with someone for 10 minutes and walked away feeling as if something invisible had been taken from you? Have you ever noticed how certain conversations leave your mind restless for hours, replaying words, defending yourself internally, arguing with ghosts? This is why protecting your energy is not superstition. It is spiritual hygiene. In this video, we will explore the first steps in protecting your energy, not as fear-based isolation, but as conscious mastery. You will learn why ancient spiritual traditions treated attention as sacred, why emotional boundaries are a form of inner discipline, and why your energy field weakens when your mind becomes scattered, reactive, or overly open. We will look at the deeper philosophy behind energetic protection, then break it down into practical steps you can begin using immediately: grounding, cleansing attention, sealing your emotional leaks, recognizing draining influences, and creating a simple daily practice to return to your center. Because the goal is not to become cold, the goal is to become clear. A clear mind cannot be easily invaded. A steady heart cannot be easily manipulated. And a person who knows how to protect their energy becomes much harder to control. The idea of protecting your energy is not new. Long before modern spirituality gave it names like aura cleansing, energetic boundaries, or vibration management, ancient cultures understood that the human being was surrounded, influenced, and shaped by unseen forces. In ancient Egypt, the human being was not seen as merely a physical body. The Egyptians spoke of different layers of the self: the Ka, the vital life force; the Bia, the soul-like essence; and the Ak, the transformed spiritual being. To them, a person's life force could be strengthened, weakened, purified, or disturbed. This is why temples, rituals, sacred words, and protective symbols were so important. They were not just decoration. They were technologies of consciousness, designed to place the human being back into harmony with divine order. In the Hermetic tradition, this divine order was called correspondence. As above, so below. The outer world and inner world mirrored each other. If a person lived in constant inner disorder, fear, envy, resentment, obsession, and uncontrolled desire, then their outer life would begin to reflect that disorder. Protecting your energy from a hermetic view begins with protecting your inner temple. Not because the world is evil, but because the undisciplined mind becomes a doorway through which every passing influence can enter. The ancient Greeks had a similar understanding, though they often expressed it through philosophy rather than ritual. The Stoics taught that a person must guard the ruling faculty of the mind, Epictetus warned that we cannot always control what happens outside us, but we can control what we allow to rule within us. This is energetic protection in philosophical language. The Stoic does not become emotionless. He becomes sovereign. He learns to distinguish between an event and his reaction to it, between someone's insult and his own surrender to anger, between noise in the world and disturbance in the soul. In Buddhism, the same principle appears through the discipline of mindfulness. The Buddha taught that suffering often begins not with the event itself, but with attachment, aversion, and identification. A thought arises, and we call it me. A feeling appears, and we build a story around it. Someone sends anger toward us, and we accept it like a gift we never asked for. There is a famous teaching in which the Buddha is insulted, yet remains unmoved. He explains that if someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, the gift remains with the giver. This is one of the purest teachings on energetic boundaries ever given. In Taoist philosophy, energy is understood as qi, the vital current that moves through the body, nature, and the cosmos. Taoist masters did not believe in forcing energy through tension. They taught alignment, flow, breath, simplicity, and balance. To protect your energy, you do not build a wall of fear around yourself. You return to the Tao. You stop leaking energy through resistance. You stop exhausting yourself by fighting every current. You become like water, soft, adaptable, yet impossible to truly grasp. Many indigenous and shamanic traditions also understood that human beings exchange energy with places, people, ancestors, emotions, and spirits. Before entering sacred spaces, practitioners would cleanse themselves with smoke, water, song, prayer, or silence. These acts were not empty superstition. They were thresholds. They told the mind and body, leave the old energy behind before entering the sacred. And this is the thread connecting all these traditions. Energy protection is not paranoia. It is reverence. It is the recognition that your attention is sacred. Your emotional state is sacred. Your body is sacred. And your inner world is not a public marketplace where every passing force has the right to enter. The ancients protected temples because temples house the sacred. But the deeper teaching is this: you are also a temple. And the first step is remembering that not every influence deserves admission. To protect your energy, you must first understand what usually weakens it. Most people imagine energy as something they either have or do not have. They say, I feel drained, as if energy is only a battery. But in the esoteric view, your energy is not merely fuel. It is direction, attention, emotion, will, and presence. It is the invisible force through which you meet life. A person with scattered attention has scattered energy. A person ruled by fear has contracted energy. A person trapped in resentment has poisoned energy. A person constantly seeking approval has leaking energy. This is why the first step in protecting your energy is not imagining white light around your body. That can help, but it is not the foundation. The foundation is awareness. You cannot protect what you cannot perceive. Imagine your consciousness as a house with many doors. Every thought is a door. Every emotional reaction is a door. Every attachment is a door. Every unresolved fear is a door. Most people live with every door open, then wonder why they feel invaded by the world. They wake up and immediately give their attention to noise, messages, conflict, comparison, bad news, other people's opinions, before they have even spoken to their own soul. They have already allowed the world to speak inside them. This is how energy loss begins. Not always through evil forces, not always through curses, spirits, or psychic attacks. Often, energy is lost through unconscious consent. You consent when you replay an insult for hours. You consent when you allow someone's mood to become your mood. You consent when you keep explaining yourself internally to people who are not even present. You consent when your peace depends on being understood, liked, praised, or forgiven by someone else. In spiritual terms, this is called attachment. In psychological terms, it is identification. In simple terms, it means you have forgotten where you end and the world begins. The first principle of energy protection is this: separation before connection. This does not mean isolation. It means discernment. A healthy cell has a membrane. Without a membrane, it cannot live. It must be able to receive nourishment, release waste, and refuse what harms it. If the cell opens itself to everything, it dies. Your mind needs a membrane. Your heart needs a membrane. Your energy needs a membrane. Many spiritual people misunderstand openness. They think being spiritual means absorbing everyone, saving everyone, feeling everything, forgiving instantly, and remaining available to every emotional demand. But this is not awakening. This is often unguarded sensitivity dressed as compassion. True compassion has boundaries. A candle can light another candle, but if it throws itself into every storm, it will vanish. The wise person does not stop shining. They learn where to stand. So when we speak of protecting your energy, we are really speaking of three things: attention, emotion, and intention. Attention is the gate. Whatever captures your attention begins to shape your inner state. If your attention is constantly pulled toward conflict, fear, gossip, comparison, or outrage, your energy begins to resemble those forces. This is why the ancient schools trained attention so seriously. They understood that attention is not passive. Attention is creative. Emotion is the water. It carries impressions deep into the body. A thought may pass quickly, but an emotion can remain for hours, days, or years. When you absorb another person's anger, shame, panic, or envy, your emotional body begins to vibrate with something that may not belong to you. Intention is the fire. It determines the direction of your energy. A person without clear intention is easily pulled into the intentions of others. If you do not know what you serve, you will serve whatever is loudest. This is why energetic protection begins with a simple but powerful question: what is mine and what is not mine? This question is a sword, not a sword of violence, but a sword of clarity. It cuts through emotional confusion. When you enter a room and suddenly feel heavy, ask, did this begin inside me, or did I absorb it? When someone criticizes you and your body floods with heat, ask, is this truth, or is this a hook? When you feel the urge to fix everyone around you, ask, is this compassion, or is this my need to be needed? Protection begins when you stop automatically accepting every feeling as your own, because not every emotion that moves through you belongs to you. Not every thought that appears in your mind deserves your belief. Not every person who reaches for your energy deserves access to your inner world. The untrained person reacts. The awakening person observes. And in that small pause between reaction and observation, the first shield is born. Once you understand that energy is shaped by attention, emotion, and intention, the next step is to understand how energy is lost. Energy does not usually disappear all at once. It leaks. It leaks through resentment. It leaks through overthinking. It leaks through guilt. It leaks through people-pleasing. It leaks through comparison. It leaks through trying to control what was never yours to control. Most people are not weak because they lack energy. They're weak because they have too many open channels. Think of a river. When a river flows in one clear direction, it has power. It can carve stone, turn wheels, nourish fields, and reach the sea. But if that river is split into hundreds of shallow streams, its force disappears. It becomes scattered, muddy, and easily absorbed by the ground. The human will work the same way. Every unnecessary argument takes a stream. Every obsession takes a stream. Every fear about the future takes a stream. Every emotional attachment to someone's approval takes a stream. By the end of the day, a person says, "I have no energy." But the deeper truth is this: their energy has been divided among too many masters. This is why spiritual protection is not only about blocking outside forces. It is also about reclaiming the parts of yourself that you have unconsciously given away. In many esoteric traditions, this is called gathering the self. The scattered soul must be called back. The wandering mind must be brought home. The fragmented will must become one again. This is the hidden meaning behind many ancient practices: meditation, prayer, breath work, fasting, solitude, ritual, silence. They are not merely acts of devotion. They are methods of recollection. They gather the human being back into one center. But there is a subtle contradiction here. You cannot protect your energy by becoming afraid of the world. Fear itself is one of the greatest energy leaks. Some people discover spiritual protection and become suspicious of everything. They believe every tired feeling is an attack. Every difficult person is toxic. Every emotional discomfort means something dark has entered their field. But this creates a prison. The person becomes guarded, tense, and spiritually anxious. This is not protection. This is contraction. True protection does not feel like panic. It feels like presence. A strong energy field is not one that hates the outside world. It is one that knows its own center so deeply that outside forces cannot easily pull it away. Imagine a mountain during a storm. The wind moves around it. Rain strikes it. Clouds cover it. But the mountain does not argue with the weather. It does not chase the wind. It remains rooted. This is the second principle of energy protection: rootedness before resistance. If you are not rooted, everything becomes a threat. If you are rooted, very little can truly enter you. Rootedness means you are connected to your body, your breath, your values, your purpose, and your present moment. It means you are not floating in imagination, fear, fantasy, or emotional reaction. You're here. This is why grounding is so important. Many people seeking spiritual awakening try to rise too quickly. They chase visions, signs, synchronicities, astral experiences, secret knowledge, and higher dimensions. But without grounding, spiritual sensitivity becomes instability. The higher a tree grows, the deeper its roots must go. If you open your perception without strengthening your center, you become like a house with open windows during a storm. You may receive more impressions, but you also become more vulnerable to confusion. This is why ancient teachers often gave beginners simple disciplines before deeper teachings. Clean your space, control your speech, watch your thoughts, master your appetite, sit in silence, breathe properly, keep your word. These may seem ordinary, but they build the vessel. And without a strong vessel, higher energy becomes chaos. Another important aspect of energy protection is understanding resonance. You are not only affected by what you touch physically, you are affected by what you repeatedly tune into. If you constantly consume anger, your nervous system begins to expect conflict. If you constantly watch fear, your body begins to prepare for danger. If you constantly surround yourself with gossip, your mind begins to search for impurity in others. If you constantly seek validation, your energy becomes dependent on external mirrors. In this sense, your daily habits are rituals. Every scroll is a ritual. Every conversation is a ritual. Every repeated thought is a ritual. Every environment you return to is a ritual. The question is, what are your rituals summoning within you? Protection is not only what you do when you feel attacked. Protection is what you practice every day so that you become difficult to disturb. This is where many people make the mistake of waiting until they are already drained. They seek protection after the door has been open for days. But real mastery means noticing the first shift, the moment your breath changes, the moment your shoulders tighten, the moment your thoughts become defensive, the moment your peace begins bargaining with someone else's chaos. That moment is the threshold. And if you can become aware at the threshold, you do not need to fight later inside the temple. The third principle is this: do not negotiate with what pulls you away from yourself. This does not mean rejecting people harshly. It means recognizing the energetic cost of access. Some conversation costs clarity. Some relationships cost self-respect. Some habits cost vitality. Some desires cost freedom. The awakened person learns to ask, what does this require from my spirit? Because everything has a price. The wrong environment may cost your focus. The wrong attachment may cost your peace. The wrong habit may cost your will. The wrong thought repeated daily may cost your destiny. Protecting your energy means becoming honest about these costs. It means no longer calling chaos normal, no longer calling exhaustion love, no longer calling self-abandonment kindness, no longer calling spiritual weakness being open. You are allowed to be open and protected. You are allowed to be kind and unavailable. You are allowed to forgive someone and still close the door. You are allowed to love the world without letting the world live inside your nervous system. This is the deeper art of energy protection. Not building walls out of fear, but creating sacred boundaries out of self-knowledge. Because the more awakened you become, the more valuable your attention becomes. And the more valuable your attention becomes, the more carefully it must be guarded. Now we come to the part that matters most. How do you actually protect your energy in daily life? Not in theory, not only during meditation, but when someone sends you a message that disturbs your peace, when you walk into a heavy room, when you leave a conversation feeling smaller than before, when your mind begins carrying emotions that do not belong to you. First practice is called returning to the body. Whenever you feel drained, anxious, invaded, or emotionally pulled, stop for a moment and place one hand on your chest and one hand on your lower abdomen. Breathe in slowly through the nose. Feel the weight of your body. Feel your feet touching the ground. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Then silently say, "This is my body. This is my breath. This is my center." This may sound simple, but it is powerful because energy often leaks when consciousness leaves the body and enters mental reaction. You begin imagining, defending, fearing, explaining, predicting. Your awareness floats away from the present moment. Returning to the body calls your energy back. The second practice is the question of ownership. When a strong emotion arises after being around someone, ask yourself, is this mine? Do not answer too quickly. Sit with the question. If the emotion feels sudden, foreign, or connected to another person's mood, imagine giving it back without anger, not as an attack, not as a rejection, simply as release. You can say internally, what is not mine, I release. What is mine, I face with clarity. This protects you from absorbing every emotional weather pattern around you. The third practice is attention cleansing. At the end of each day, take 2 minutes and review where your attention went. Who occupied your mind? What conversation continued inside you? What did you keep replaying? What fear or desire stole the most energy? Then imagine your attention returning from each place like golden threads coming back into your chest. Breathe in slowly and visualize yourself becoming whole again. This is not fantasy. It is symbolic training. The subconscious mind understands images, or in images, direct energy. The fourth practice is the boundary before the encounter. Before meeting someone difficult, entering a crowded place, or opening a conversation you know may disturb you, pause and set an intention. Say, I will remain present. I will listen without absorbing. I will respond without surrendering my center. This creates an inner command before the outer influence arrives. Remember, if you do not give your energy direction, the strongest emotion in the room may direct it for you. The fifth practice is closing energetic openings. Many people protect themselves from strangers, but leave themselves completely open to familiar chaos. They keep checking the message. They keep revisiting the wound. They keep explaining themselves to someone who has already chosen misunderstanding. So ask yourself, honestly, where am I still available to what harms me? Maybe it is a person. Maybe it is a habit. Maybe it is a memory. Maybe it is the need to be seen as good by people who benefit from your silence. Protection sometimes means turning off the source, muting the conversation, leaving the room, refusing the argument, sleeping instead of scrolling, drinking water instead of feeding the emotional fire. Do not underestimate the spiritual power of ordinary discipline. A clean room protects your mind. A calm morning protects your day. A quiet mouth protects your energy. A controlled reaction protects your destiny. And finally, create a simple daily ritual. Each morning, before touching your phone, sit in silence for 1 minute. Breathe deeply and imagine a soft golden light gathering around your body, not as a wall of fear, but as a field of clarity. Then choose one word for the day: calm, focus, courage, patience, strength, truth. Let that word become your inner seal. The goal is not to avoid all negative energy. That is impossible. The goal is to become so rooted in yourself that the world can move around you without moving through you. Protecting your energy is not about hiding from life. It is about meeting life without abandoning yourself. The ancient teachers understood something that modern people often forget. The human being is shaped by invisible exchanges. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you absorb, every conversation you entertain, every environment you return to leaves an imprint. Some imprints strengthen you, others scatter you, and some slowly teach you to live outside your own center. This is why energy protection begins with awareness. You learned that attention is the first gate. What captures your attention begins to influence your energy. You learned that emotions are not always yours, simply because they move through you. You learned that your intention gives direction to your inner force. And you learned that spiritual protection is not fear, suspicion, or isolation. It is clarity. A clear person does not need to fight every shadow. They simply stop feeding it. The first steps are simple but powerful. Return to the body. Ask what is truly yours. Cleanse your attention. Set boundaries before difficult encounters. Close the openings that drain you, and begin each day with a small ritual of presence. These practices may look quiet from the outside, but inside, they build a fortress no one can see. Not a fortress made of fear, a fortress made of consciousness. Because when your mind is scattered, the world can command you. When your heart is unguarded, every passing emotion can enter. When your attention is cheap, anyone can purchase it with conflict, drama, or temptation. But when you become still, when you become watchful, when you become rooted in your own center, something changes. You start reacting to every wave. You stop mistaking noise for truth. You stop allowing the outer world to decide the condition of your inner world. And that is the beginning of real spiritual strength. So today, ask yourself one question. Where is my energy going without my permission? Find that place. Close that door. Call yourself back, because your energy is your life force. Your attention is your altar. And what you protect within yourself will one day become the power that transforms everything around you.